Good morning. I'm Buck August, a dietitian with Inlow Medical Center, and today I'm here with some tips on a heart-healthy breakfast. A lot of traditional breakfasts are not that great in terms of heart health. People often tell me they enjoy things like bacon or sausage with eggs, fried potatoes, donuts, or going to Starbucks, grabbing a latte or a frappuccino with a scone. Again, those are not the best in terms of heart health. So I have some alternatives today, and hopefully you can find some things that will work well for you and that you enjoy. Some simple options for breakfast could be something like a piece of whole grain toast with natural peanut butter. The whole grain toast is a good source of fiber, different vitamins and minerals. The natural peanut butter is a decent source of protein and also is a good source of heart-healthy fats. And when it comes to fats, there are a bunch of fats out there that are actually heart healthy, and those typically fall into the category of what we call unsaturated fats. Those are generally going to come from plants. So peanut, being a plant, has those heart healthy unsaturated fats. Those are a good alternative to foods that are high in saturated fat. So for example, butter, which is, oftentimes we put on toast. The peanut butter is going to be a much more heart healthy choice than the butter. If you don't like peanut butter per se, you could always choose something like almond butter. They even have things like sunflower butter, different nuts and seeds. And those are all good sources of heart-healthy fats and all, again, decent sources of protein. And the peanut butter plus the toast, the proteins put together make what they call a complete protein. So that, again, is a good way to start the day. On top of your peanut butter toast, you could put something like banana. Sometimes I'll put some raisins just for a little sweetness. And that's a good way to get some produce in there. Another type of toast you could do that's popular these days, again, take a piece of whole grain toast and then add some avocado. Avocado toast. You see that on menus these days at different places where you could get food. And you could, if you wanted to add some more protein, you could add an egg to that. Eggs are a real controversial one when it comes to heart health. And that's mainly because they're a really high source of cholesterol. There's a lot of cholesterol in the egg itself. Now, some people, when they eat foods like eggs that are high in cholesterol, it really has a tendency to make their cholesterol go up. Other people, it doesn't affect their cholesterol level so much in their body. So generally, they say an egg a day is probably okay for most people. But if you're really trying to watch your cholesterol intake, trying to avoid eggs, you could always choose something like egg whites instead. So this is a carton of liquid egg whites. You can also find the brand that's called egg beaters, which again is egg whites. Sometimes those are dyed to look more like eggs. So if you scrambled them, it would look basically like scrambled eggs look. So you could use egg beaters or egg whites, cook a bit of that scrambled, add that to your avocado toast. Another direction you could go with the egg whites would be to cook it up with some vegetables. Like I love spinach with my egg whites. You could even add a little bit of a low-fat cheese. This is part skim mozzarella, which is a lower fat type of cheese, but there's other versions of low fat cheese in the store. And cheese, the reason why you might want to choose low fat is because it is also a high saturated fat food. And again, the saturated fat is one that we generally kind of want to keep an eye on in terms of heart health. So egg whites, spinach, mushrooms, peppers, whatever you like, maybe a little bit of low fat cheese. That can be another good breakfast. And again, you can have that with some whole grain toast, or they even have things like a whole grain English muffin if you want a little variety there. So those are some good options. Another good option, classic, is oatmeal. Now you could do something like steel cut oatmeal. So these are where they take the whole oat and they cut it up. This generally takes a little bit longer to cook, but it's very hearty, really tends to stick with you. These are rolled oats that were cooked in the microwave with water. So this is real quick and easy, just a couple minutes and these will be done. If you do oatmeal, they're a great food to add some other things to. So you could add some fruit, you could add raisins, like I said I might do on my toast, or you could add some berries or banana. Frozen berries oftentimes work well in oatmeal because you can cook the oatmeal while it's still hot, add the frozen berries in there, or cool it off a little bit. And frozen berries are a great source of nutrients. Generally, they're picked when they're fresh. The nutrients are locked in, frozen in there. So a great thing, like with oatmeal, frozen berries work really well. With oatmeal, you could also add a protein source. This would be a great opportunity for maybe some nuts, so chopped up almonds or walnuts, whatever you like. Another good one might be some flax seed, or this is what they call flax meal. which are the flax seeds, and they grind them up. Flax seeds are a great source of fiber. High fiber foods have a tendency to help to lower cholesterol. They're also good for our digestion and gut health. And they have a bit of protein too. So flax seeds, walnuts, some people like chia seeds. Those are all good options. Again, some fruit would be great. If you'd like to add a little milk to your oatmeal, or like if you're going to do a dry cereal, generally speaking, for heart health, they recommend choosing a lower fat milk. So instead of whole milk, doing 1%, 2%. Some people like skim. A lot of people these days, though, they just avoid the dairy milk altogether. They might choose something like almond milk, oat milk even, coconut or rice milk, or soy milk for that matter. If you do choose a milk alternative, like almond milk for instance, there's going to be a variety at this store. There might be original, vanilla, and then you'll see like unsweetened original, unsweetened vanilla. Better to choose one of the unsweetened ones because you're not going to have a lot of added sugars in there. And that's the main thing. With regular cow's milk, there's sugar naturally in there. With the almond milk or soy milk or rice milk, whatever it might be, there isn't necessarily sugar. Those can be very low in sugar, but sometimes they add a whole lot of sugar to them. So it's, again, I recommend an unsweetened one. A good thing to keep an eye on. So I mentioned, you might want to do a dry cereal. There's a few out there on the market that are pretty good, pretty heart healthy. So Cheerios has advertised for a long time that they're heart healthy. They got the heart bowl on there. When I look for cereals, there's a couple things I keep an eye on. I want to look at, you can look at the total calories in a serving. I'll look at the fiber. So a serving of Cheerios has about 4 grams of fiber, and that's pretty good for a dried cereal. And then the other thing, like we were talking about with the milk alternatives, is the sugar. So regular plain Cheerios like this has 2 grams of sugar, and those 2 grams are added sugars. And those come from, if you look at the ingredients, from sugar. So they add just regular, table sugar to it. So 2 grams of added sugar in a dry cereal is actually pretty good, and it's really rare to find dry cereals that are that low in sugar. So Cheerios are a good example. Regular shredded wheat, so not the frosted shredded wheat or frosted mini wheats, but regular shredded wheat tends to be really low in sugar. Wheaties have about 5 grams of added sugar in a serving, and I always use that as kind of a benchmark. If you can keep it to 5 grams or less per serving, that's pretty decent. A lot of dry cereals will have 10, 15 or more grams of added sugar in there, and that's a lot of sugar to start the day. Every 4 grams is a teaspoon. So if a cereal has 16 grams of added sugar in a serving, that's 4 teaspoons of just straight up sugar that's added there. So that can be a tricky thing and something to keep an eye on. So a different direction some people might like to go with breakfast maybe is something like yogurt. So this is a Greek yogurt, and it's a 0% fat. So this has no saturated fat. It has a lot of protein. So Greek yogurts, generally speaking, are lower in sugar, lower in carbs. Again, the milk naturally has sugar, so there's naturally going to be some sugar in the yogurt. This particular one has 5 grams of carbs or 5 grams of sugar coming from the milk, which is quite low for a yogurt. And it has 90 calories, which is, again, low for a yogurt, and it has 18 grams of protein. That's a lot of protein. That's almost as much as a 3-ounce piece of chicken. So lots of protein, and it's a good idea to start the day with some protein. Some studies have found that having a good source of protein at breakfast can help you not be as hungry throughout the rest of the day. So again, a low-fat or non-fat Greek yogurt can be a great choice. You could add some things to it, add some berries. So I like berries in my yogurt. Wes had told me about taking a product that's called peanut butter powder. So it's like a powdered peanut butter, and you can mix that with your yogurt. Kind of gives it a peanut butter kind of taste if you like that sort of thing. I tried it out, and I like it quite a bit. So that can be a way to add some flavor to your yogurt without adding sugar. So yogurt's a good one. Again, berries, bananas, something like that goes well in there. You could even add some nuts or seeds in there, and that can be a good thing. Or maybe a lot of people tell me they'll put a little bit of a dried cereal on there, or like a granola. If you do go for a granola, you want to really watch the fat content. Granolas can be real high in fat sometimes, depending on what they're made with, and the sugar. I've seen granola that a serving size might be a quarter cup, like a little tiny bit of it, and it could have a couple hundred calories in that quarter cup, just really dense with calories. Something that we think of as being healthy, but isn't necessarily. And speaking of that, another thing that sometimes we think of as being healthy might be something like a bran muffin. So if you get a bran muffin from the grocery store, like a commercial bran muffin, it might be decently healthy, but I would bet it's going to have a whole lot of added sugar, and it might have a bunch of fat added to it as well, depending on how they make it. So if you do like a bran muffin for breakfast, that would be a good opportunity to maybe do some home baking. So you could make an oat bran muffin or a wheat bran muffin, and if you make it at home, you can really control what goes in there. So you can choose a more heart-healthy fat, so maybe some canola oil or something like that as the fat source in there. Some people will use applesauce instead of the oil or in place of some of the oil. And then you can really control how much sugar goes in there. Because again, a lot of the commercially made muffins, even a bran muffin that we would think of as being healthy, can have as much sugar as like a cupcake. So it can be a little deceptive that way. So I hope this gives you some ideas on what a heart-healthy breakfast could include. There are a lot of options, and these are just a few. Generally speaking, though, you might want to include a whole grain like whole wheat bread, oatmeal, a good protein source like the egg white, Greek yogurt, nuts or seeds or peanut butter, or even the low-fat cheese has some protein. And breakfast is a great opportunity to add some produce. Fruit is more common, generally speaking, at breakfast, but veggies like in an egg white omelet can be a great addition to breakfast as well. All right. Happy breakfast and have a good day.